One of the coolest things about this season has been the relationship between quarterback Brock Purdy and Brandon Aiyuk. They have flourished together, and Brandon Aiyuk is really rounding into a number one wide receiver. Obviously, he's had struggles getting the ball consistently in years past, but he joined Eric Armstead on his podcast hosted by the Title League to discuss his relationship with Brock Purdy and how it continues to develop and grow and how we're starting to see that success happen on the field. It's really some great insight. And there's one thing that I want to react to on the other side. But first, take a listen right here as Brandon Aiyuk joins Eric Armstead on his podcast.
You play with a few different quarterbacks, throughout your career thus far. What do you feel like you see out of Purdy that allows him to be, who he is? And, what's your mindset when you're working with a quarterback? Is it more so like, all right, I gotta find, what this guy does good, or, how I can be, helpful or help him? Or are you like, man, let me just focus on being the best version I can be, making sure that I'm always open, always doing my job and giving the quarterback opportunities? How do you view like that quarterback receiver relationship?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, but
Mhm.
mostly I'm worrying about myself. Purdy, he gonna do what he has to do to be his best self
Mhm.
each Sunday. I think we've seen that from him. I think nobody questions what his ability to prepare or how he prepares. So I think just being my best self for him. But even like I talked to him, I think leading up to the Minnesota game, and he's just like, he's like, I'm gonna be better for you this week. I'm like, I'm gonna be better for you this week too. So it's just
Mhm.
like getting ourselves ready, so that we can go out there on Sunday and be better for each other and continue to push each other. I think that's what like the best receiver quarterback duos do, is just continue to get better. They help each other get better.
Mhm.
And Purdy's for sure done that, because even like there'll be plays out there where it's like in the past, like we might call this play and you have no chance of getting the football. But when you're playing with the guy like Purdy, like you have an opportunity to get the ball on any given
Mhm.
play. Like even when you're running down the field, and for the past 3 years, this is a clear out, just clear out the defense,
Mhm.
and somebody else is getting the ball, and you look up, the ball's literally in the air, right there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, playing with him, it's just really just preparing myself. Get ready each and every week to be my best self on Sunday, because I know he's gonna give me the opportunity to be that when the game
No,
starts.
that's got to feel good. I never played offense. Well, I played offensive line, but I never played offense, and like just the mentality of having to rely on other people. Kind of on defense, we got to rely on others. Everybody got to do their job, but it's like if I want to go make a play,
Y'all
that's kind of like
freelancers.
on me
Yeah,
to like go make a play.
yeah.
Where like on offense, you got to rely on so much to go right.
11 guys.
Yeah, and so having that, man, that's freeing. That's a great feeling to have play with a quarterback who's like, you know, I know I'm gonna get ops because he's not just going he's not just gonna go to the first or second
Where it's
read.
supposed to
Like
go.
you might be the fourth in the progression, and he gonna make something shake, and you better stay on your P's and Q's, like because you can get busy if you on your job. So I know that's got to be a good feeling. So uh
I love the way Brandon Ayuk describes Brock Purdy and his ability to get the ball in the sense of working through his reads and finding the open guy, regardless of it being one, two, three, four, or potentially even five in the progression. Because I remember breaking this down on tape, and I believe it was against Washington last year. Obviously, when Brock Purdy was a rookie, and Brandon Aiyuk was transitioning from Trey Lance to Jimmy Garoppolo to now Mr. Irrelevant, who was a rookie. And one of the things that was apparent on tape with the other quarterbacks that Brandon Aiyuk played for was that exact thing that he was talking about. The 49ers run a ton of clear out routes. And again, as Aiyuk described, The whole point of that particular route is to pull someone out of the zone, pull a defender to drag with him as he runs upfield so that they can run underneath and the zone is open. And I remember vividly breaking down this particular play where Aiyuk is running a clear out route and Brock Purdy throws it to him. And on tape, Brandon Aiyuk gave up on the route after he got to a certain point. And this is exactly how I explained it on my film breakdown. I said, I don't think Brandon Aiyuk is used to getting thrown the ball in this situation. I think that's why he wasn't prepared for the ball to be on him. He wasn't the main read in the progression. He was running a clear out route and he was running deep. And those balls back when he was playing with Jimmy Garoppolo were so rare to ever find him that he didn't even complete the route. He just kind of gave up on it. And then he looked back just like he described, and the ball's right there. So it's amazing that he actually identified that, because that was something that I saw on tape. And that's exactly the way I rationalized like what happened and why the ball was incomplete. Because from what it looked like on tape, Ayuk's running a clear out. He did his job. And then he turns around and the ball's in the air and he's like, oh crap. And I got to go try and get it. And it was incomplete. But it was just so funny because I was like, and that's when we were still trying to figure out who Brock Purdy was and all those different types of things. And I was just like, I don't think he's used to that. I don't think he's used to getting the ball in that situation. So he wasn't prepared at all. And that just kind of speaks to like the growth that both Ayuk and Purdy have shown in their limited time together. Brock trusts Ayuk, and you can hear about their like the back and forth, like, "Oh, I got you, my bad." Like, in that game against the Browns, Brock Purdy is like, "Hey, I'm gonna do better this week against Minnesota," and those types of things, and the relationship of them working together and getting better. I mean, you can see it on the field, like it's happening. Like, the long ball to Ayuk, like they clearly have a connection, and it's real. We saw it in training camp. There is something special right here between these two. And I love that the way kind of Ayuk talked about it and like how he's continuing to develop his game, and just great nugget from the podcast. Shout out to Eric Armstead and his podcast, Third and Long, for the clip. And again, man, go check it out. Go to the Title League's page. Go check out the full interview. But what a cool little nugget. And just again, connecting the dots. That's crazy that he said that, and that I kind of noticed that on tape as well. But it just again highlights how they've developed together, and how when Brock is playing, anyone can get the ball. It doesn't matter if you're first read, second read, or you're ad-libbing. Brock will find you. And that has got to be a great feeling for a wide receiver who has to rely on a quarterback to get him the ball. Let me know what you guys think about what Brandon Aiyuk had to say in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.